Hello, hello. All right. Let's see. I want to put this on. Uh-oh. Okay. How do I? All right. So I'm trying all this horizontally. Let's see how it works. I also want to share this. Wait, how do I do the effects? Retouch. Oh gosh, I don't want to do retouch. All right, I'm gonna share, copy link. Okay, I'm sharing it. Give me a second, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry for taking so long. Okay, sorry for taking so long. All right, let me just make sure I have all the chat viewing. Yeah, live chat, all messages are visible. Okay, all right. Okay, nice to see you guys, so ask away. I'm doing this on horizontal because I'm trying to, make what I'm doing as appetizing as I possibly can to YouTube because I am, trying to get as much monetization as I can. I can accept gifts on YouTube now, but I don't get any ad revenue yet. I'm about 600 hours away from gaining ad revenue. So ask me your questions, guys. Fire away. In case you're just tuning in, thank you, Apple. So, yeah, Canada calling in. Yeah, thoughts the U.S. trying to reclaim. Yeah, I think that's just talk. But what they do want is they want to shut down China's influence in Panama. Absolutely. What about Mexico? No, Mexico's not getting invaded. That's nonsense. That's just propaganda. We can't. We still need Mexico. No matter how tough we're talking with Mexico, we're always going to need them. You keep hearing that these tariffs will level the playing field. No, it absolutely won't. These tariffs are going to hurt. Okay, first, I want you guys to know the way tariffs work is we don't tax Mexico or Canada. We tax the American importing company who brings in the goods from Mexico and Canada. So the first person to pay the tax is the importers inside America. And then that importer, when they distribute it to wholesale pays that tariff. They pay that tax that gets passed on to them. And then wholesale puts that tax onto retail. And then retail puts that tax onto us. So every stop down the supply line gets this tariff. And China doesn't actually pay for it. What happens is the hope is that trade will be discouraged from China, that these importers will no longer buy from China, or they won't buy as much from China, hoping that they'll import from countries that we're not in competition with, or that we just rely on ourselves, that we just keep our supply chain completely internally. And that's, in the most ideal situation, it's the American consumer that bears the brunt of it in the beginning and the middle, and it's the long run that starts to hurt the other country. So it's not evening out the playing field. It's screwing over every American. There's no, and if we do if we do shift the supply line to be more domestic and internal, that is something that takes years. But while that's happening, we are getting economically wrecked with these tariffs. Do I think it's weird Trump hadn't been taking Trudeau's phone calls? No, because Trump doesn't like Trudeau. All right. Did Trump really think? Yeah, no. Trump is fun. Trump's like, oh yeah, Canada's going to retaliate. But the thing is, Trump has the majority of the population that will just let him do whatever he wants. And as long as the big money can profit off of this, then it doesn't really matter, to him. Okay. How about now? How's my mic? Can you guys tell me how my mic is? If you can hear me. So what are Trump's goals if these tariffs won't help? His goals are to look tough, are to get more favorable deals. I know with Mexico, he wants the Mexican government to play more of a part in cracking down on illegal immigration, but also the fentanyl crisis. And he also wants to send a very strong message to Mexico's left-leaning government that, you could be as left-leaning as you want, but you're still going to be listening to the United States. And he's also indirectly, he's sending a message to, I think, Russia and China, be like, okay, look, we're going to do this to our allies. What do you think we're going to do to you? Okay, I'm glad you guys hear me. Great. Well, what do you mean besides Europe? I mean, like, so far it's Mexico, Canada, China. Also, Trump's goals is like, if the investors already know that there are going to be tariffs, then his family and his buddies, they get to line their pockets. And there are going to be shortages. There are going to be market corrections. There's going to be a lot of tough times in the market. But if you know you're going to be doing that, then you know how to invest accordingly. Well, the big money, yeah, absolutely. The big money will eventually profit. The big money just has to, you know, the big money's been expecting this since Trump got elected. So they'll be fine. How worried should I be? I don't know, Ghost Holmes. I already have a lot of food ready and everything just in case the manure hits the fan. Um, uh, I don't know if we're going to go into a deep recession. I think we're just going to see some panicky days in the market, but I don't know what's going to happen after that. His borders already said that Canada was making progress. I don't know what you're saying, man. Brian Fisher. His borders already said. I have no idea what you're saying. Trump really? Yeah. Oh, yes, he did. Did I? I sold half of my crypto. I sold half of the crypto that I'm trading. There's some crypto that I'm not touching, but half the crypto that I play around with to trade, I sold it all. I sold it because I sold it and it dropped. It dropped like 20% in value. I sold it. It dropped another 30% in value. So I'm glad I did. And I bought in a little bit. I've been buying in just a little bit because some of these deals are pretty great. But I think tomorrow. Now, this isn't just my opinion. I've been asking other traders and people who've worked in finance for most of their lives. They said that the markets, like, when the stock market starts crashing, that's really going to crush crypto. He's such a maniac with Kamala. Yeah, with Kamala, everything would have been status quo, and I think things would have been better economically. I don't know if Bitcoin peaked. Just remember when COVID hit and everything shut down and Bitcoin dropped from, like, I don't know, 10,000 to like 1,000 or 1,500, people thought crypto was dead. Which cryptos do I play with? I play with Algorand. I shouldn't say that. I really like Algorand. It's my favorite one. But I play with, like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, Chainlink, AMP. Mohammed Aryan said that the short term the U.S. economy will be okay. Yeah, okay. Look, man, let's see what happens. What do I expect tomorrow? I expect to see a huge drop in the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500. You think you think I'm wrong? US just wants more bases in Greenland, and US also wants to have more of a military presence there to deter China and Russia from, like, surveying our land. That's what's going on. Yeah, crypto will eventually bounce back. Yeah, bounce back. Trump is crazy. Yeah, that's true. But Trump isn't the one leading the helm. If you read enough history, you realize that the president isn't the most powerful guy in the room. It's not even Elon Musk. Usually, the most powerful person is someone you have no idea who it is. Like, nobody really heard of the first George Bush, like George Bush Sr. He was the head of the CIA for, like, what, 20, 30 years? And like, he came up out of the blue as Ronald Reagan's vice president. Couldn't, well, first he ran against Reagan, then he ran alongside him, and then, okay, he ended up taking over when he won re-election. Well, not re-election, he won election after Reagan finished his second term. And what people don't know is that even after George Bush Sr. was president and Bill Clinton was looking into, like, these covert operations, George Bush told him, back off. And Bill Clinton did, even though Bill Clinton was the president of the US. So there are people tied into much more powerful things than just the Oval Office. Yeah, Musk. I mean, look, if Musk really does become a problem, I think he'll he'll be taken out of the woodworks. He'll be taken out from the woodworks. How did I get so informative? I read a lot, ask a lot of questions, and I don't care about looking stupid. And if I make a post and I get one or two details wrong, I get corrected, and it helps me learn. Why is the market crashing, Ghost Holmes? Because of the tariffs. Because now, what, hundreds of billions of dollars in annual trade, or maybe even up to $1 trillion in annual trade that our country was relying on. And it's not just like people buy like made Chinese, Mexican, and Canadian stuff. A lot of our factories use Canadian, Mexican, and Chinese goods as components for parts that they have to use to assemble and sell to the American public. So several sectors in the entire American economy has to adjust for the negative consequences of higher prices. Is it Miller and Vaught? I don't know. What do I expect for the market till the end of? I have no idea what to expect. Yeah, the S&P is 2% already. Jeez, Carl. Yeah, there you go. Anyone who's retiring, who thought about retiring this year, I mean, that's and relying on their 401k. No, I don't think you've been ripping us off. We have no reason to be raising the tariffs on Canada. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Maybe I understand why threatening Mexico, okay, fine, but like we are so reliant on you guys. Like the American worker is reliant on you guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, like oil and gas, the stocks went up. But I don't know when that's going to happen because right now they're contending with higher prices. Like, 61% of our oil imports come from Canada. So that's a bit. I think eventually, yeah, our energy sector will recover and those stocks will probably go up to make up for the loss of imports. Do I think we are headed into a recession or depression? I don't know yet. What does Trump want from Mexico tariff? More security on the border, I guess more accountability for illegal immigration. They don't want people from all over the world going to Mexico to like sneak into the United States, I guess. Also fentanyl, sure, but I think also just because Trump doesn't like the fact that there's a lefty in power in Mexico, so he wants to like let her know who's boss. Now, about us being in a recession or depression, I do think now Trump may be wanting to cause some kind of economic emergency to get the Fed to lower interest rates. To like do some kind of monetary easing. 90% of autos include parts from exactly, Robert Jackson. Plants shutting down. That's what I'm worried about. Do you think he did it by its own? Or, I think he's being forced to do it by the Heritage Foundation. Do I feel like this is a cash grab for Trump? Yes. Thoughts on the new DNC chair? Don't even know enough about it. Yes, I am on YouTube, Brendan. Well, Brendan, I'm trying to monetize YouTube so I can accept gifts on YouTube, and I'm about 600 hours away from doing ad revenue on YouTube. So I'm just trying to, get that going. And I figure if I do lives on YouTube, that's more hours of viewership. Lower interest rates, Alex, means that money gets lent more freely between banks. And when that happens, that means that the big corporations get to borrow for cheaper. And when big corporations borrow for cheaper, it usually makes the value of their stocks go up because it's free money. Whenever there's free money, the stock market rises. And that's what Trump wants. Trump wants his presidency to see stock market rallies. And when interest rates drop, that's what we see. The stock market rallies. And if he starts pushing stimulus, then of course the consumers are really happy and they're like, "Oh yeah, let Trump do whatever he wants." So if he can guarantee stock market rallies and maybe some or stimulus and quantitative easing that generates stock market rallies and good overall economic numbers, Well, it also helps more Republicans get elected in the next 2 years, with another red wave, and maybe the 22nd Amendment somehow gets repealed and he gets to run for a third term, maybe? Let me know if that answered your question, Alex. You're watching Linmar? All right. Canada and Mexico can devalue their currency to face. Yes, but that wasn't my idea. That was Robin Brooks, because he was just mentioning that's what China did, and it offset the tariffs a bit. I hope it works out too, Brendan. He is posturing, calling for such arbitrary. Yeah, he could see the capture. Yeah, exactly, Brian Fisher. Exactly. But I think he's also trying to look tough against China and Russia. Will this presidency raise your 401k in the long run? It depends, because if the companies in your 401k can't survive this tariff crisis and they crash, what's that going to do? Even if the market rebounds, will it rebound before your company crashes? So I don't know. Doesn't lower interest rates results in more inflation? Yes, exactly. But Akaki, that inflation takes time to show. Like when Trump was letting all this money go free, when COVID hit, inflation wasn't doing much of a thing. It didn't really start to hit until Biden took office. So it takes time for inflation to rear its ugly head. Do I believe that Musk fueled conspiracy theories? I think they're both low-life dirtbag scum, and they're in positions of power they shouldn't be in. That's so gross. Sorry, guys. I had a lemon. There's a lemon like right in my lips. So I'm like, looks like I'm doing that. Is it a good time to invest? It's a good time to watch and wait. I would love it if Canada banned Tesla. I want every country to ban Tesla. I want China to ban Tesla. Yeah, he did. Carl, Trump is destroying a lot of healthy, stable relationships with his policy. You want India to still resist? Yeah, I do too, Mark. I'm not live on TikTok right now. I'm just live on YouTube. I have 380,000 followers on TikTok, which is great, but I want that over here on YouTube, because TikTok censors me all the time, but YouTube has never done that. I've not had one post censored. I've not had one comment. I've not had one live censored while I was on YouTube. I talk about things much more freely. So, so if you're not following me on YouTube now, please do so. Even the Danish people are considering me. Yeah, exactly. Our allies should not be looking at us like threats. Okay, let me just get to this. Would I buy gold during this time? I'm not buying gold. I could be wrong, but I'm not buying it. It's going very well, Gary. How you doing? Oh, Feed the Filipino. How you doing? All right, different names. Yeah, I don't know how creators have different names on all these other platforms. It would be so confusing for me, you know. Is it too late to short the market? I don't know, Filipino, because the markets haven't even opened. I mean, now I doubt it's too late to short crypto, just because crypto's already bleeding. But when the actual markets bleed, I think that's going to hurt crypto too. That's just my opinion. Yeah, thank you very much, Alex. And guys, if you haven't seen any of my interviews, I interview experts. So I interview military experts, I interview economists, I interview energy experts, I interview political scientists, and they're on my playlist called Interview with Experts. Please watch them, because I need those viewer hours to start getting ad revenue on YouTube. Seriously, he was the only president which managed to force the Europeans to send troops against U.S. forces in Green. What? Against? Is Trump pushing the European economy closer to Russia? No. Trump is actually. I don't disagree with Trump's stance that Europe relies on us too much and they should be doing their part. One thing Trump said that I agree with was that they were reliant way too much on Russia, because they were just diverting all their energy needs over to Russia. And Trump said, that's a bad idea. Why are you doing that? So that's something I agree with him on. You think all the craziness that's happening, the real story is taking over treasury payments. Exactly, Gary. With a POTUS like Trump, China doesn't have to update their policy much to become. Well, no, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if there's much Trump can do to harm our economic power. He can harm the American worker, but I don't think he can actually harm the overall American hegemony. Tariffs are in a crisis. Secure the border, stop the drugs, and there won't be such tariffs. Time for Canada and Mexico to also lower their prices coming into the USA. You have no idea what you're talking about, Coach Chuck. Really? Come on. You're literally just reading nonsensical rhetoric from Fox that has no basis in reality. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, stop the drugs. That's fine. But like those tariffs, Coach Chuck, hurt Americans because the first payer of the tariff is the American importer, and then it's the American distributor, and then it's the American wholesaler, and then it's the American retailer. That's the stupidest way. That's like saying, hey, if you step on my foot, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. When do we march on DOG? Freaking tonight, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I really don't. I don't know what to do with the Department of Government Efficiency. If worst case were to happen, you think the solid indicator if we need to leave is if journalists are starting to be jailed. I don't want to leave. I want to fight, but I have kids. But I would do something. France and Germany are discussing to send troops to Greenland to defend Greenland. Like, yeah. Do I think Trump is doing this to push a new North America trade sooner? Might be, Lynchus. Okay, wow. So that I wasn't sure. Wow. So France and Germany defended. I think that's posturing, though. Do I think Trump comes out of the meeting tomorrow with some sort of deal where he postpones the tariffs but doesn't take it off the table? Well, no, he already signed the tariffs. The tariffs are there. They're signed into action. He is making the U.S. less reliable. 25% on largest trading partners because of fentanyl. Exactly, Akaki. He's hurting America with this. Time for importers to negotiate lower cost geo from both countries. I love how you just backpedaled. First it was, oh no, it's the fentanyl thing, and now you're switching it over to the freaking importers because of what I said. You jump to conclusions because someone told you something, I tell you something, you jump to another conclusion to try to justify your initial statement. Come on. Use your head. Do I think that Americans will be seen more as an enemy in Europe? Definitely more threatening. Why did Trump backtrack so fast on the halt in government funding? Who made him do a 180 so fast, and why can't he do that in this? Yeah, Alex, exactly. Well, like I said, there are more powerful people in government who can just really, like, will just tell Trump, hey, you do this, you're not going to have a successful presidency. We guarantee it. With tariffs, I think he has support. He has a lot of support behind him. This is why we have states' rights, and maybe we need to push for more decentralized power. Maybe, Gary, maybe. I mean, that one thing is, I do think that our bureaucracy is bloated, but cutting at it with a meat cleaver, that's not the way to go. It's not the way to do it. You know, especially when you have hundreds of millions of people reliant on functioning government infrastructure. How is the drug getting distributed when it reached the U.S.? That's a good question. Wow, Lynn Schusis, you're absolutely right. It's not like the cartel maintains distribution in the entire United States. So, okay, that's another good question to ask. Guys, this is great. All right, I have 43 people watching my YouTube. Yay! The situation in Ukraine looks terrible. It also looks really bad in Russia, though. It's like, you know, Russian oil refineries are getting destroyed left and right. The Ukrainians developed, you know, they develop a drone that they can attach a shotgun to that doesn't spin out of control once it fires. So I think they're both in the same kind of Awful. I won't run for politics just because I don't want to be a target. I have kids. This is what I do for a living, Akaki. My children are all in school, and I'm influential enough on social media that I make money doing this. I'm pro-Ukraine too, Carl. But you're right. Like, no matter what happens, no matter who really wins, the Ukrainians are suffering more. How do I think people will receive Canadians booing the U.S. national anthem at sports? They're just going to have to deal with it. Not backpedaling. You don't want to put any pressure on these countries, but just throw your hands up and Americans pay the tariffs, BS, negotiate. You just want to throw your hands up. Oh, Coach Chunk. No, that's not. I just believe in more shrewd tactics that don't screw over my own people. How much do I earn with social media? I don't answer that question, but enough. Mark Miller, you're going to say, oh, thank you. Oh, hey, thank you, Mark Miller. You know what? Mr. Global is great too. Mr. Global is great at dispelling BS. He doesn't care how you feel if you're on the left or the right. It's just the facts are the facts. And one of the problems with the left, which is why I loathe a lot of left-leaning posturing, is all they do is talk. All they do is try to out-virtue signal people. They don't bring up issues that are actually relevant. And it's because of the stupidity of the left and this BS idealism, and they want to be seen being idealistic and stupid, and then they get nothing done. His name is Mr. Global, Akaki. Geopolitical. Is Canada going to be a third world country? They need to go through some harsh restructuring, and I don't know if a Democrat is, if a liberal is the one who could do it. Is this a double tax on American companies? Yeah, this is just a double tax on the American taxpayer. That's it. You read that a couple of Canadian companies are going to open factories in the U.S. to avoid tariffs. Can we anticipate more? Okay, DR, it takes a long time to open factories. Now, I don't know. Like, I've read that too, that it might be happening. But it's not like you just set up a factory in a few days or a few weeks. You know, it takes, what, probably like several months, if not years, to set up a factory. So the damage is already being done. Coach Chuck, yeah, to stupid people, I'm left-leaning, and to stupid people, I'm right-leaning. All right, what I care about are the facts. What I care about are what helps the American people. And if something is too far right, I go against it. And I'm like, hey, this is pretty stupid. You know, when we have a complete and total buffoon who launched an insurrection, you know, running for president, I'm voting for whoever that person isn't. I'm voting for that person's opposite. I will never, I will always vote against that. And if we have someone on the left who's a complete and total nincompoop, who's not actually interested in getting anything done, I'll vote for the other guy. Kamala lost the election because the Democrats didn't understand how much Americans were actually suffering. The Democrats sent a message that, oh no, America is actually doing okay on paper. Look at this. We actually made these jobs and we did this and the whole Bidenomics thing. And that's true. But they didn't say like, oh man, this sucks. Grocery bills are way too expensive. Like, I think if Kamala would have said, hey, we're gonna give $10,000 subsidies for groceries across the board, I think that would have, like, one, it would have enticed a lot of people to support her, but it would have shown the Democrats that, hey, wow, they actually are paying attention to what's really happening. Also, Biden should have stepped out a long time ago. He said he was going to be a one-term president, and then he went against it. That was so stupid. And I just think Kamala didn't spend those 4 years cultivating much of a media personality. Mr. Global is knowledge about oil. Yeah, exactly. Like, Global is an independent. You know what I mean? He cares about what works. That's it. Thanks. I like, see, that's the thing. I consider myself in the middle. This Republican girl was like, oh, but you're like, because I'm pretty into meritocracies. I don't believe in participation trophies. And she was like, but you're a Democrat. And I'm like, how stupid is it to think that I'm a Democrat just because I wasn't supporting Trump? But like when people have very simple minds, that's where they go. Many leftists accomplish nothing, but they are correct on issues more often than the right. SPI guy, what the left does is they actually they can admit their mistakes. Very often though, they don't admit their mistakes while they're making them. And I just feel like the left caves in easily, and the left gets so concerned about the virtue signaling that they don't actually focus on what's really wrong. Am I upset that Kamala lost? I'm over it. I'm ready to accept whatever happens. And I mean, I know how to invest with this. I know how to invest when there's a market tank, and a lot of my investments are going to be at the detriment of like stupid people who made a lot of stupid decisions. But it's like that's what they voted for, so they're going to get it. Take care, Gary. You're behind me on the wait and see in the economy right now, but what investment would I jump on if the opportunity came up? You remember when the auto industry took a hard hit? I would look at shipping, like shipping companies in the United States, transportation, and I would look into energy, any kind of energy, because I think those costs are gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if those, go up. In Canada, we're confused by the reasons for the tariffs. Your brother works at Toyota plant, and I plan to work there. Seeing this makes us. Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you mean. Why did he get sober after the election? No effing clue. People who invested in GM and you know why? Why he got sober? Because he was traveling all the time. You know what I mean? So he was exhausted. He was a tired old man. People who invested in GM and Ford when they were down made a killing. Yep. You're also in the middle. You hate far right. Same. You're from Canada. Yeah, G Apple. It's tough. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to expect. Oh, Elon just wants more power and more money. That's all. That's what Elon wants. He wants more power. He wants more money. He probably wants to make himself the world's first trillionaire. Something that worries me is that Elon will want to dismantle Amtrak because, yeah, absolutely. Yes. But that's what Trump wants. That's what Musk wants to do. He wants to eviscerate anything that doesn't run what he thinks is efficient. Why would Trump be against trade deficit when we can just exchange printed fiat money for real goods and merchandise? Exactly. Why? Why would he do that? Unless he knew that this is going to be temporary, creates a situation, invests accordingly, or has his family and lackeys do it, and then he says he comes up with a solution and he gets to claim all the credit and be the hero. I mean, that he's done that several times. Wouldn't be surprised if he did it again. And by the way, guys, if you are not following me on YouTube, can you just let me know? Just like write in the comments. Will the U.S. ever have high-speed rail? Funny thing is, Ben, the way we're deregulating under Trump may come sooner rather than later. That's one thing I don't disagree with. There are certain regulations that have to be lifted in order for us to build economical high-speed rail across the country. That's the thing. What I find so disappointing about the Trump administration is that Trump can get so much done because he has so much behind him, but he's an egomaniac. If he really wanted to focus on public transportation and public health, he could solve poverty with all he has behind him, but that's not his interest. Public transportation adds wealth to the economy, but you can't profit off of it. You can't directly profit off of it, but yeah, it absolutely helps everyone else. That's like the rising tide lifts all boats. And yeah. Can anyone tell me can anyone tell me what the price of Bitcoin is right now? You think there's too much red tape for high-speed rail? Well, see, that's the thing, Alex. Trump is, if anyone can cut through red tape, it'll be Donald Trump. I just he needs to be pointed in that direction. Uh, but I mean, God, like there's this 93,500. Okay, can anyone tell me what is the price of Algorand right now? Akaki, if you could tell me. Um, but like God, there's like 1% of me that's hoping that Trump is deregulating and Congress is deregulating and Musk is like chipping away at everything, maybe to like actually revolutionize something. But that's such optimistic. Oh, 26 cents still. That's too high. All right, I want it to go lower. Thank you guys. Do I like regular jobs? I am unemployable at this point just because I've been my own boss for so long. And now that I have this influence and I know I can make like I make a decent living, and if I did accept some brand deals, I could make a lot more money. So knowing what I have at my disposal, I'm never working for anyone ever again. Short-term economical is nice, but long-term taking shortcuts will lead to disaster. Just look at our railroads. Yeah. It's not about shortcuts, chewing love. It really is by going past state and local regulations. You could still have federal regulations of like safety, but when it comes to state and local, a lot of it is just bureaucratic red tape. Algorand is at 25.5. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I actually bought a lot of Algorand when it was 10 cents. What should we invest in? I can't tell you. I can't tell you what to invest in. That would be financial advice. I would like to accumulate more Algorand once it hits like 23 cents and below. What about red tape for renewables? I know in Alberta, the premier added so much investments that have paused in the. Yeah, there you go. That's the thing. When you talk about red tape for renewables, that I don't know what you mean. Do you mean that they're making it harder to use renewables, or are they making it harder to use fossil fuels because they want you to use renewables? What am I investing? I invest in cryptos, but I can't answer it just like that. You can ask me if I own a certain crypto, and I can say yes or no. Monero, I know that it's untraceable and everything, but I don't care. I have nothing to hide. I could be tracked. Doesn't bother me. What if Canada cuts off the oil? Yeah, 61% of our oil imports come from Canada. So I don't think they'll cut the oil off. But if they do, well, that's the thing. We can't get off Canadian oil. We cannot get off Canadian oil. We rely on them so much. And their oil is so cheap because it's right there. Same thing with Mexico. We don't make enough oil to supply what we need because not one oil is the same oil. We need some oil that's heavier, we need some oil that's lighter. That's why we produce our oil, which is, we have so many different kinds. Then we get the oil sands from Canada, which I believe is a little heavier. We also still, we also get oil from Mexico, which I believe is a little lighter. But we still, import oil from other parts of the world, and then we refine it to make the gasoline that we need. Do I own Ethereum? Yep. Algorand. Thanks, Gerard. They won't, or Trump will invade them. No, Trump's not invading Canada. We refine it in Canada, but it's passed through the USA. Okay, so you guys refine it too. If you don't count oil, Canada actually has a trade deficit. Okay, but that's this G Apple. Okay, yeah, if I don't count, I don't know, 2 pints of blood, I only have 6 pints. It's like, we need that oil. The oil is the lifeblood of the American economy. Like, will it get worse in the US? I think it may. Will they make it harder to grow the energy share of renewables? Yeah. They may make it harder for implementation of non-fossil fuel infrastructure for cities, but there are just some parts of this country where it's so economical to use renewables that they will. Like they use windmills to power the oil pumps in Texas. S&P nearly 4%. Okay. All your natural gas is from Canada? Okay, that's interesting. We are the largest exporter of natural gas in the world, but we still get it from Canada. 9263. Thank you, Gerard Price. Also, Canada has smaller population, of course, will not be. Yeah, you're right, Linuxus. Guys, this was good. This was a great talk. Expect to see me more on YouTube. If you're not following me there, please do. And also, if you want to support me on Patreon for like $1 a month, sign up for my Patreon because I don't trust TikTok and I'm not able to monetize YouTube the way I need to yet. So yeah, if you want to support me, go do that. And I'll try to be on tomorrow night on YouTube. And I'll talk to you guys later. And let me know your questions. If you have any questions, go on my page.